Didn't take me long. I brought them in the room. I just forgot to. Oh, sorry. We're going to get a little up and close and personal on the bottom two channels. Why did you just close? There we go. My monitor just shut off. Hello, how are you? I'm going to send out some shares. So for those of you on the top camera, which is YouTube and Facebook channels, I'm doing a lot of adjusting. I should have done that beforehand, but anyway, it's because I jumped up to get the cards. I'm going to do sharing on both of the TikTok channels, so you'll see me doing that for a little bit. And if you do see my head looking down like that, it's because I'm interacting with the TikTok feeds. Alrighty, let's share. That's what I was getting ready to do. So let's start here because this one's the newer channel, which means it has less people to share to, which is nice in a way. I'm not sure. We'll just share to. That's good. Hello, how are you? How are you? Alrighty, now we're going to share it out. I don't need to send it to my son. I mean, he might come and watch me. I don't know. I don't think he is interested all that much in the celestial briefing, maybe. Yeah, unfortunately, my boys never really got into some of the stuff that I got into. I mean, they're aware of things because I talk very openly, but well, they definitely, it wasn't like I had children who were in, boys that were into tarot cards or anything like that. We like a lot of the other things that each other likes, though, like outdoors and stuff like that. All right. I think I have one more set to share to, and then we're going to just sit for a minute. I'm just going to sit and enjoy, and I have some hot tea. It might be way too hot tea, but hot tea. And I'm going to do the celestial... I'm going to do the check-in with the cards. So I'm going to use the Ethereal Tarot deck that I created. And I'm going to do a collective check-in, a little reading. And then after we do the reading, we're going to consult the living sky. So you can track this on any live app. We're going to see where the planets are, what the transitions are, and what that energy means for us, and how to best, really progress through this week with the energies that we're going to be dealing with. So that's what we're talking about here today. If that's something that interests you, awesome. Please stick around, share, all of those good things, like, comment, tap the screen. Okay, so this is just going to be a collective reading. Again, as I was saying a moment ago, this is the Ethereal Tarot. It is a deck that I created. So if you... Anyway, it has the fifth element of the ether. So we're just doing an energy check-in for the collective, or a collective reading. So you can stay, listen, take what resonates, let go of what doesn't at 333 on the timer there. All right. Can we get a good message for the collective? Whoa. Apparently that has a lot to say today. Okay, what other messages? Is there anything else for... Yep. Is there anything else that we need to know, Spirit? Oh, okay. All right. We're good. But I do have to pick up all the cards. We got some stuff in reverse. Got a lot of yellow and red, guys. Like, it's a very... Okay, yeah. It's almost a monotone reading. Is quite interesting. Okay, so... let's see what all these cards are. I don't even have the... Okay, we got... Okay. All right, so that's all good. These are the stuff that's in the inverted position. So we're going to start with the stuff that's in reverse. So it's kind of like we're going to progress to the better space. Okay, so I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait for a minute. I'm just going to wait for a minute. We're turning 444 on the timer here. I'm going to give it a minute for those people that I've shared it out to show up. And I am going to give a little bit of love on the screen. I don't know if it helps or hinders, but you know what? I do. I do like my own live. I hope that you like your stuff, whatever you're doing and creating. I hope that you love it. I hope you're passionate about it. I hope it lights you up. All right, so we're just going to give it a minute or so, and then I'm going to proceed with the collective reading. I just shuffled and grabbed the cards. Hi, some random panda. How are you, love? Nice to have you here. Hi, Callie. Hello, guys. Hello, everybody. Hello, say where you're from. Okay, so we're going to do the check-in. We've got a couple of cards in the inverted position, so we're going to start with them, and then we're going to move through. We've got a lot of fire energy today, so let's see. Let's see. Apparently, I was tapping a little faster on that one. Okay, so the first card that I did note was the star card. Sorry, that's my writing on the back. Is the star card, and I'll show it up here so that you can see it nice and close, and then I'll bring it down here and over to that side so everybody can see it nicely, and then I'm going to pull it back. Okay, so the star, this is the guiding light, and it really represents hope and renewal and divine guidance. It's also alignment with your higher self. It's faith in the future, inspiration, and cosmic flow. It's a really positive card. So when it's in the reversed position, what that means is that the message is in an opposition in some way. So for the reversed position of this, there's some doubt. There's feeling disconnected from source potentially. Maybe you're having some creative or spiritual blockages, or you're struggling to trust the path, and maybe there's some resistance to healing. The star reminds you that you are not lost. You're exactly where you need to be. Keep following the light within you, and your path will unfold in ways more magical than you ever imagined. So this is twice because I did a collective or a timeless reading today. And in that timeless reading, it talked about someone was being resistant to healing. So if that's you, it doesn't have to be a terrible process, right? Just one step at a time, one breath at a time, one bite at a time. It's always just one moment at a time. You don't have to open up your entirety of trauma and delve into it all together. You just have to take one piece. So when you get triggered, take the opportunity to look at that one piece and say, why does this make me get so upset? Or why does this make me so mad? What is it about this that makes me that there's another hurt that's lying here? Where's the source of that hurt? What's the root cause of where that pain comes from or that anger comes from? Sometimes the anger is almost, I used to call it when I was working a lot in trauma, I used to talk about how that anger is oftentimes a Patronus, if you're familiar with Harry Potter, and you cast out that light that's to protect you. And that's what the anger is. The anger isn't necessarily anger at what's going on. It's anger at the child inside being hurt again and again. And that Patronus is defending it. So it's that very angry energy towards that. And so anyway, we're going to continue on. The second card that came out was the Eight of Air. This also came out in the reversed position. So the Eight of Air, this is illusion of restriction. When it's in the reverse, it means that we're going to be getting into mental clarity, that we are breaking free. We're starting to overcome fear. We're seeing the truth, and we're reclaiming our personal power. So whatever this doubt was, we're getting past it. We are getting the clarity to move past it. When the Eight of Air is in the upright position, this is when it's that whole where you trap yourself in your own mind. It serves a powerful reminder that freedom begins in the mind. The obstacles you face may not be as solid as they appear. Challenge them, shift your perspective, and step into your power. You are not totally trapped. You are ready to soar. You're not really trapped. You're not really trapped. There's a way out. There's a pathway. There for sure is. Okay. The other cards that we got was just a whole bunch of fire. So we're going to go on a step. We're going to step through these in one and after the other, and then we'll tackle the last card, which is the water card. All good things, all good things. All right. We have the Ace of Fire. The Ace of Fire is the divine spark. And when it's upright, and all these cards were upright, it's talking about divine inspiration, passionate new beginnings, a creative surge, personal power, fearlessness, and rapid movement forward. Okay. Once we become aligned, it's beautiful forward momentum, right? Things align to you because you are aligned. It's the frequency that you're putting out there. So the Ace of Fire is your invitation to embrace your divine spark and let it blaze into creation. Take the leap. You are ready to set the world aflame with your power. All right. So when we're looking at the aces of any suit, they have the potential of the entire suit within them. But we also got, following the Ace of Fire coming out, we have the Two of Fire coming out. So right back to back, 2 fire cards. And this one is the Visionary's Path. Upright, it talks about strategic planning, visionary leadership, collaboration, ambition, expansion, new partnerships, and the beginning of an exciting journey. So apparently we didn't just get the fire, we took the step. We started making moves. And I know I've been doing that. It'll be interesting to find out what the energy is of the celestial check-in, what the living sky is doing this week, because I'm sure that it's going to coincide, or it's going to, it's going to affirm what these cards are saying energetically. So the Two of Fire invites you to embrace the unknown, trust your instincts, and step boldly into your power. The fire is burning. Now is the time to act. And that's very powerful. Okay, so we stepped from the Ace of Fire to the Two of Fire, and we got one more fire that in this particular collective check-in. And the one that we've got this time is the Page of Fire. So we've got 2 new beginnings. We've got the new beginning from the Ace of Fire, and we have the new beginning from the Page of Fire. The Page is the first card in the royal suit. So this is a long-term thing, whereas the Ace of Fire could represent short-term because it's just the beginning. And it could be something that you're dealing with within the lower suit. But because we have the Page, now we're stepping into long-term. So the long-term, or the Page of Fire, it represents a spark of passion. And there's inspiration, enthusiasm, creativity, new opportunities, and a call to adventure. So that's some beautiful energy that we're getting from the Page of Fire. The Page of Fire is a reminder to trust the fire within. Take the leap, explore new possibilities, and let your passion lead the way. And just powerful, powerful, powerful. Okay. The last card that we got in the collective reading is the Knight of Water. So we got a little bit of water here, and it's interesting that these cards, had a little bit of the watercolor, but everything else was, fiery and passionate colored cards. So the Knight of Water is passion, romance, with 2 passions. Look at this. Ooh, 2 passionate hearts coming together maybe. And 1 became 2. Ooh. And it was talking about partnerships. That's a nice energy. Okay. So the Knight of Water is about passion, romance, and emotional adventure. So upright, it's talking about romantic proposals, deep emotions, invitations, following your heart, and creative passion. Okay. In the upright, the Knight of Water is a reminder to immerse yourself in the beauty of emotions, love, and passion. Whether pursuing romance, creativity, or an emotional awakening, this card invites you to say yes to the adventures of the heart. I love that. And you should. The adventures of the heart for me right now are definitely the creative pursuits, between all the stuff that I create for Sha'Ryah and also with Hugs for Homeless. So balancing those 2 things, there's a lot that I'm creating, in fact, quite a bit. Okay, I'm going to take a little breather. I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to wait for a moment, and then we will start with the celestial check-in. Hello, how are you, Ray Ray? No, wait, not Ray Ray. I apologize, Braden. I went too far down and caught your name on the wrong one. So we're going to check in with the living sky and see what's happening this week. We are currently sitting with the sun in Pisces, as much as mainstream astrology would tell you that the sun is in Aries. And that's because they're following what is known as the tropical system. It's also been called seasonal, traditional. But with mainstream astrology, or tropical, the way that it is with the sky frozen 2,000 years ago, and where every season or every month at a certain point it changes to the next sign. The 13th sign was removed, and a bunch of things. So the way that I work is with the living sky. I just look at a sky app and see where the planets are, and I work with them in the signs that they're in. So right now, if you pull up a living sky app, or any app that has, or a sky tracker, there's Stellarium, things like that. The one that I like is theskylive.com on the internet, and I think they have an app as well. But when I go on there and I just check major solar system objects, and it tells me exactly where all the planets are, including the fact that the sun is in Pisces. It'll be in Pisces until April 18th, I believe, is when it transits finally into. Hi, love. How are you? How are you? When it transitions on the 18th into Aries. It's still in Pisces for now. How are you doing? I was thinking about the mod squad and the tribe, and oh man, we were building a bus. We had such a tribe. I miss my collective. And I'm definitely looking to rebuild a collective, but definitely a collective that's more aligned with, who I am now, for sure. Where I've gotten to with all the growth and learning and experience. Maybe one that's a little more balanced. That would be nice. How are you? How's Lily? Yay! I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for you. He's totally just staring at the comments. Hi, guys. Hi, Natalie. Just talking to someone on Facebook who's just, she was someone who was, a dear friend indeed. Part of the mod squad, part of the mod quad, which was even, wow, all the days we'd sit around and hang out and we'd do the live, and then we'd hang out after the live, and oh my God, it's beautiful. But yes, I need to recreate that, and that's amazing. Lots and lots of love and blessings Lily's way, and your way as well, Melinda. I love you. I always wish the best for you. All righty, so let's do a little tappity tap 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 on the live. I'll put my nice hot tea down and turn my heater on so it doesn't get cold while I'm chitty-chatting away. And we're going to check in on the planets and see where they are and what they're up to and how we're going to manage with the energies that they're in. And we'll talk about how to navigate this upcoming week. No fluff, no muff, no whatever. I don't even know. No funny stuff. Just straight how to work with it, right? No scare tactics, none of that. There's none of that here. Okay, we're all just very balanced. I can see it. You can see it, my love. You can really see it. So I'm putting the comments for Facebook and TikTok over on the secondary screen that I have. So if you see me looking like this, that's because I am looking at the comments over there. And if I'm looking down here, that means that I'm looking at TikToks. If I'm looking up here, then I'm looking at Facebook and YouTube. So yeah. All right. All righty, where was I here? We're going to start talking about the celestial check-in, and we're going to talk about the planets and all of that. So over the last couple of weeks, if we go back a little ways, we had eclipse season, and eclipse season was revealing all of these things to us. I love you too, sweetie. Have a wonderful night. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for liking and commenting on the live. I appreciate you. Give Lily hugs and snugs. Okay. Over the past couple of weeks, we've went through that, right? We have had this, and then we went from the revealing of the equinox a few weeks back, of the eclipses a few weeks back, and then we moved into equinox. So equinox slowed things down. It started to ask you to really reflect on things and to reassess things. And it wanted you to question the direction that you were moving in. And for a lot of people, this created some discomfort because we are conditioned to associate movement with progress. I'm someone who was definitely hardwired to be considered valuable because I was productive. That my worth was tied to how much I made, what grades I got, how hard I worked, whether I was in a relationship, if I was putting out or not. I'm not kidding. I have had people think that because I have transferred work or friendship and allowed them in my space, that somehow, because there's, money exchanges hands, that somehow entitles them to, sex or a relationship. These are the types of things that are stuff that I would normally have overridden, because in my trauma, I thought I had to. I had learned very young, I didn't have any boundaries that any man couldn't go past, and that I couldn't really that I had to perform for things. That's what I got taught through my trauma. And so it shows up until, and you peel back the layers. It's another layer, it's another layer, it's another layer. And eventually it's almost like you get to the final boss. And when you defeat the final boss, then you never have to see that pattern show up in your life again, because you've worked through whatever it is that aligned you with that. So when we're looking at that conditioned to associate movement with progress, there's a variety of reasons why we end up with that type of trauma. Not sexual abuse necessarily, but that is a big contributor to that type of trauma, because you learned you don't have boundaries. Even if somebody physically abuses you as a small child, you can't defend yourself. You can't do anything about it. So your body is a boundary that gets violated. So you maybe learn then as well that you don't have boundaries. There's a lot of different ways that it happens. And a lot of us, through narcissistic parents or through society's conditioning, through expectations and things like that, we got conditioned to associate that we always have to be doing something. We have to be making something, creating something, doing something, getting money, hustle drive, going here, going there. Like, there's just this idea that we always have to be achieving something. It always has to be with a monetary value associated to it. And that's not the way that we're meant to operate. And it certainly does not help us in maintaining, alignment or flow, right? We oftentimes get pushed off track or out of alignment because we rush things too fast. And then something gets pushed out too soon, and it's not at the quality that you would have wanted, or the audience isn't ready for it, or you didn't prepare the field with all of the different things that you're going to do. Like, if in the future, I should have everything done before I even figure out what date I'm going to release anything, have it all completed. And then you can get all the marketing stuff ready, all that stuff ready, and then pick a launch date. have it all ready, maybe even set up already in a like a, what are they called? Those auto content things. I have Metricool. I just can't remember what it's called, but it'll post your posts automatically. Like you can schedule them, a post scheduler, content scheduler. There we go. I got to it eventually. I think that deserves a sip of tea. And hello, love. Thank you for staying around and watching. I appreciate the taps. Okay, so what we want to do is take that time to reflect and to reassess and to question the direction we're moving in so we can get clear. And soon the energy is going to shift. It's coming. There's this subtle pull, right? Normally we get that launch in the beginning of spring, right? Where we hit equinox and we're like, let's go. But the sun has transitioned so much so that it was still in Pisces, and in Pisces for quite some time before we hit Aries season. And Aries season is a season that's like, let's go. Not Pisces. Pisces is reflection, contemplation, introspection, healing. It's beautiful energy. Plan with it, align with it, but it's not necessarily like, let's start running with that energy. All right. So now we are moving into that. And this is where timing matters, right? Because not all movement is aligned. And if you move too quickly, you may be moving with that stuff that's not even aligned with you in any way, shape, or form. So some movement, you need to wait until it's uncomfortable and you're like, yep, okay, this is definitely not aligned with me. I'm very aware of this. Some movement comes because you got really clear with it. And the difference between those two determines everything that follows. So do you think that when you get that discomfort, that's the movement that you want to be moving from, or do you want to wait until you're moving from clarity? Because sometimes the discomfort that I'm talking about isn't that you have to move out of your comfort zone. The discomfort that I'm talking about is the discomfort of waiting, like you have that urgency or that pressure feeling, like you have to get that out there like right away. You're moving from that discomfort, right? That's a difference than moving from clarity. So right now, as I was saying, hi, Renee, we have the sun in Pisces. We have Mercury still retrograde in Aquarius. We have Venus in Pisces. I'm going to confirm. Sometimes I get my notes mixed up. All right. Sun in Pisces, moon in Leo. Oh, hang on. All right. So we got the sun in Pisces. We have the moon in Leo. Give me 1 second. I have to search because I have to go on my live site where I have my planets and stuff, because for some reason, my just checking all the planets. It sounds like you're at a call center. Hi, can I take or an online ordering system? It would be quicker if I didn't make typos because I'm trying to hurry. Okay. Alrighty, so we have my star app up, the live sky. I have a pin on everything. We have the sun in Pisces. We have the moon in Leo. We have Mercury still retrograde in Aquarius. We have Venus in Aries, and the Mars is in Aquarius. We have Jupiter in Gemini, Saturn in Pisces, Uranus in Taurus, Neptune in Pisces, and Pluto in Capricorn. So that's the current celestial lineup according to the living sky above me. And so we're going to look at the alignment of all of these planets. We're going to look at transitioning through the moon and what that means. I love Leo moon. That's my own moon. I do astrology readings, and I do these astrology readings based on true sidereal. So that's a form of really looking at the sky as it was living on the day of your birth versus using tropical astrology, which was frozen 2,000 years ago. So it's telling you what the sky would have been like had you been born 2,000 years ago and where all the planets would have been, but it's not telling you where the planets actually were. And true sidereal also includes the 13th planet. And the way that I do readings is called Christic astrology. And the reason why I call it Christic astrology is because I've taken the distortions out of the signs and the planets and all of that stuff so that it's just aligned with the truth. There's no, I'm not trying, it's not about terrifying people, and it's certainly not just a personality test. It's much more about working with the energies that are around us. Okay, so Mercury retrograde in Aquarius, Venus in Aries, all of that stuff. The sun in Pisces, as I was saying, it's there until the 18th of April, whatever the next month is. So it's here until the 18th of April when it then becomes Aries season. So we're still in that contemplative space. With the moon in Leo, the moon in Leo is asking you to just really be heart-centered as the one that wants you to attend to your inner child, to shine from your authenticity. Leo really is the radiant heart, or the sun energy. It's beautiful energy. So we have Leo, we have I don't know why that's doing that. It's just being funky. Oh, wait, I forgot my notes. It wasn't just that. It was hi guys. All right. So we got the moon in. That's why I lost my notes, because I put the live map over top of it so I could go through the celestial roll call. But you know what? We're going to just make that screen a little smaller. I don't need the whole thing. Give me 1 second, guys, just so I can go through these planets. I don't want to lose. Okay, I think that'll be good. So after the moon is in Leo, where it's getting you to align with your authenticity, this is just that further alignment, aligning with that heart energy, aligning with what really matters to you, what's really true. This is doing it for you, not somebody else. Then we're going to move into Virgo, and the Virgo moon is going to ask us to refine things. It's going to ask us to refine our environment. Virgo, if you were in your Leo moon phase and the emotions that it's telling you is your heart really, really, really wants to run a marathon, then Virgo comes in and Virgo goes, okay, then for us to run a marathon, we're going to have a plan. We're going to have to start running. We're going to have to start looking at our diet. We're going to have to start, that's what Virgo energy is, because Virgo is not the perfectionist. Virgo is the master, the one that refines things until they get to that level of mastery. So it's a different type of energy than what we have been taught before, right? We've been taught that we've been taught differently, right? Like even with Leo's been given the energy of, that just arrogance, or thinking they're the center of attention, they're the showman. And when you look at the distortions that are built in mainstream astrology and you identify to that label, there's oftentimes people out there that think that they can just be that way because, well, my chart says so. I am Leo, so I can, or I'm, whatever, right? Like whatever it is, Aries, gets the moniker of being like easily angered and, maybe having some rage issues and being a hothead, being childish or immature. So it gives you the ability to say, well, I can be childish and immature because that's what my sign says. But that's not the true energy of Aries. Aries is initiatory. Aries is passionate. And then there's a lot of beautiful energy with it. All right. So we're going to talk about the moons and how they're going to progress through these. And we're going to talk a little bit about the other planets because I haven't talked about them in a while. So we're no longer in pure reflection. We are not in full momentum. Like I said, we're in that transition phase. And this is where people either move too quickly and create friction, or they hesitate and miss the opening. So aligned movement is not forced. Okay. It emerges when clarity and timing meet. Okay. So we want to wait for that energy. We want to wait for the alignment and then go. We don't want to rush too soon. And we don't want to wait for where we think it has to be perfect or, there's a lot of other things that can drive us to wait too long. Fear of failure, fear of success, them in equal measures. Those could be the thing that causes you to put the brakes on when you should be jumping or leaping, right? Fear of being cast out of society because maybe the thing that you want to launch is something that other people are going to be like, that's lame. Why would you want to do that? Or we all know. I was out there with the woo-woo long before it was cool to be into spirituality and, back when people really looked at you differently. And I left nursing to come into this. So I was really given some wild looks back in the day. Alrighty, so we're going to talk about Venus in Pisces and what that means for us right now. Let me confirm. Venus is in Aries. Venus is in Aries. I'm confirming. Venus. No, I missed it. Wait, where'd it go? Gotta make sure Mars is in Aquarius. Okay, Mars is in Aquarius. I want to keep on track. I write little notes on the effects of each of these planets and each of the signs, right? So I'm just looking to coordinate so I make sure that I'm not skipping past anything and what Venus being in Aries would represent. And for some reason, I had looked up my notes for Venus in Pisces, which is incorrect. So I just need to look for. Okay. So Venus is in Aries. I found my notes on Aries. So what you want is going to be clearer now, right? When you think about Venus energy, Venus is desires. Venus is how you attract. Venus is beauty. It's really aligned with a lot of that feminine, the divine feminine energy. So with Venus in Aries, what that means is you're grabbing that Aries energy, which is, I know what I want and I'm going to go in that direction. Aries is direct. It is not a subtle sign. And that is what you want right now, is to make those decisions. You want to be direct, you want to be instinctive, and you're just going to know. It's like, I want this, I don't want that. This feels right, that doesn't. And when Aries comes into Venus energy, like when both of those align, you get a less tolerance for confusion here. You have less willingness to stay with anything that is not aligned with you. If it does not feel good, you want to get rid of it. And we should be discerning like that, right? A lot of times we make allowances for people and we keep people around who are just very hurtful for our hearts or our souls, or who aren't contributing, in a positive way for them to have as much access as they do. So there's less willingness. And when we're dealing with these things, though, when you have that less willingness to stay in something that's aligned, or less tolerance for confusion, that can feel uncomfortable. It doesn't necessarily show up in your body and arrive and just be like, yeah, I'm good with this, let's get, like, we're just moving on. Right? And you're just like, I mean, some of us are harsh like that. We can cut the cords pretty easy. But you do want to be working through that, allowing yourself the opportunity to move through any grief or any emotions that are coming up. Because Venus in Aries doesn't negotiate, right? It's just, we want the truth and we're going to move on it. But sometimes you might act too quickly. That's the hesitance. That's what we have to do, is we have to hold the reins with Aries. Because Aries makes decisions. I have Aries rising, makes decisions really quickly, and then is like, yep, okay, we're going to do this. And then it's off and running before it's even, and I don't know how many times I was like, I'm going to do this. And I was off and running, and I created all these things. And, like I said, if I was to do it backwards now, I get everything prepared before the launch. And then when I go to launch it, I'm like, yep, here's everything all ready to go. Here's my whole pathway to launch, the 3 or 4 weeks of content and marketing, like all of that. I definitely learned in the grind of it all, as opposed to coming in fully loaded with how to run a business. But I think I've made a good business owner out of myself in the last 5 years. I've learned quite a bit that I could share, which is something to be proud of. I actually looked over all the things that I've created and the stuff that I have available, between 20 books that are published and everything else. And I was like, holy wow, there's a lot of stuff out there that I've created now. All right, so we got Mars in Aquarius, so we'll talk about that. And when we're looking at Mars in Aquarius, we're also going to loop that a little bit back to Venus, because that's thoughts and desires. And then we'll look at the moon, because then we can tie the emotions in. And these are 3 placements that are really good to check in on a daily basis to see what is the energy affecting the thought field, what is the energy affecting the desires, relationship, attraction field, and what is the energy that's affecting the emotional landscape. And this is going to apply to everybody, but in an individual way. So we have Venus in Aries, which is asking, like, it's like, this is what I want. I know what I want, and I'm ready to move on it. And Mars is saying, but does this make sense long term? Like, is this the best choice for your future? Is this aligned with where you're going? Right? It could be that Mars is at, like that. I said Mars was the thought landscape. I was thinking Mercury. I apologize. Mars is your drive. Mars is your direction. That's the feminine of Venus and the masculine of Mars. Those two, the divine feminine and divine masculine that we're looking at right here. Sorry. I read Mars and thought Mercury, and I went with it. So Mars in Aquarius, this is our direction, our drive. We want to look at long-term viability and how is this going to be for the collective, future, like innovative stuff. And Venus is, I want that specifically. And I want it now, because that's that energy. Well, Mars also rules Aries. So we have a little bit of that energy there as well, where Mars is quite capable of making quick decisions when they're aligned, and in this case with the future, with the long term. And so we have this dynamic that's happening right now between Mars and Venus, where it's like, I want this right now. And Mars is like, yeah, but we got to be strategic, because this is long term that we're looking at. We're looking at future generations here. Like, we're looking at what is the best for our goals, our long-term trajectory. And so those two are pushing and pulling against each other. So this is where you're feeling some tension right now. And because what you want right now and how you're able to move might not match perfectly yet. So you just This is decision-making time, getting clear and getting clean and waiting for the moment. So just because something feels clear doesn't mean it's time to act on it immediately. Okay. That's the tough one to learn, that sometimes even if it feels aligned, it might not be right at this time. So our moon, as we're moving through things, where were we with Mercury? Let me just scroll back up to Mercury here in the thing. So we do have Mercury in Aquarius too. So that's probably why I flipped them over. So Mercury in Aquarius would have our thoughts thinking long-term as well. So our thoughts and our drive, our communication, all of that is aligned with future goals and innovation and all of that stuff. So it's really thinking of your long-term trajectory and and aligning your drive as well. So you're strategically thinking long-term and in your thoughts thinking long-term and communicating long-term. And Venus is the one that's pulling against that with but I want it now. Well, our moons are going through Leo for our emotional landscape. To begin with. So right now we have the moon in Leo. And again, this is activating visibility, your expression, your identity. As I said earlier, Leo is the radiant heart, right? It's just, that's the energy of Leo. This is where people feel the pull to be seen or to take action or even act and to take a step forward. But that's why I said, or to act. Leo can bring performance energy. So the question that you have to ask yourself when Leo moon is there is, am I expressing my truth or am I trying to prove something? Okay, so that's the Leo energy that we have, and that's the moon that we are in right now. Like I said, then we move into the Virgo moon, and this is where Virgo refines. It slows everything down and looks at the details. This is where the system corrects itself. Virgo asks, what needs to be adjusted? What is not working as cleanly as it is? This is not about perfection. That's not what Virgo wants. Virgo wants to refine. It wants to alignment through refinement. And as you constantly refine, you get to mastery. And that's Virgo in a nutshell. And then later on, closer to the next check-in, so around Saturday, we're going to move into the Libra moon. And Libra brings balance. And Libra is also starting to look at the relationship component. Right up until that point, when we're going from Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, those are all individual placements. Those are all placements where we're looking at internal things or we're thinking about the self. It's about our identity, how we're moving. Once we get to Libra, the energy changes. And this is where we move into external things. Whether it's an external relationship, it's the whole revealing, like working with your shadow as an external part of you and going through death and rebirth. And then we start to worry about the collective and moving forward. It's getting a little warm. All right. So Libra is looking at relationships, dynamics, and exchange. So this is where you begin to see, is this sustainable in connection with others? Libra is where your internal reflection or internal alignment begins to reflect externally into your relationships. So whatever you've been working through internally, you're going to start to see in the interactions that you're having with the circles around you. If you were watching, could you please tap like on the screen? If you're just tapping with your finger on the screen, TikTok is like a popularity contest. So it really likes when you do, likes. It's just, that's it. It's the way they all like it when the people like the show that you're putting on. All right. So Libra moon, if it wasn't me, I wouldn't, I don't even care. You're here, you're watching. That's awesome. I hope you're getting something from it. And I hope that you continue to watch and follow me and, maybe at some point interact with stuff on Sha'Ryah. I have a free membership group, Temple of Light. You should always start there at the free membership group and see where things don't go from there. Alrighty, so what you've been working through internally is going to start showing up in your interactions with other people. All right, so let's talk about this Mars and Venus, where they can either create inner conflict or they can create coherence. So a lot of times people experience internal conflict without understanding exactly why that is happening. And this part of my segment is a teaching stream. Every time that I do a live, not only am I teaching you about the living sky and moving through it, but I'm teaching you a little bit about Christic astrology, about the living sky, and about the other things that I'm teaching. So this is the teaching segment on how Venus and Mars create inner conflict or coherence. So right now, the conflict can look like feeling one thing and thinking another and acting in a third direction. And this is because we have like those three that are in different positions. So Mercury, Mars, and Venus. So Mercury can be in a sign that's asking you to think in a specific way. And Venus is in a sign that is telling you you're feeling a specific way in some capacity, like your desires, what you want, why you want to do the things you want to do. And then your Mars is in a different sign that is saying, well, I want to go in this direction for these reasons. And that doesn't just show up with the signs throughout the week. Right now, we have two different signs actually, because Mercury and Mars are in the same sign of Aquarius, and then Venus is in Aries. But if you look at your own natal chart, you might find that you have Mars in a different sign than you have Venus in, and that you have, you probably have multiple signs. And when that happens, when you have a bunch of different signs, while that gives you variety and that is what creates that uniqueness that is you, the fact that you have those things can create conflict within yourself that you're not even aware of. So sometimes it's interesting when it's really productive to look at your natal chart and understand where your placements are, so you can understand why some of those things get created. But again, I will remind you, if you do any other readings with me, it's under true sidereal, not tropical mainstream seasonal astrology. It's under the true sky. All right. So this can create that fragmentation though, right? When you have those three different things pulling in different directions. So when Venus feeling and Mars action comes into alignment, that's when things really shift, because you start moving cleanly, without resistance, without second guessing. So the question becomes, does what I feel match how I'm moving? And if not, then there's something to correct. And understanding how you naturally move or how you naturally process things, or the energies that are influencing you, are powerful ways to be able to navigate through that and, to work with these energies. So Mercury retrograde. And I've talked about this before because a lot of people put a lot of fear out there with Mercury retrograde. And, it's about all this doom and gloom, or, all these things, bad things are going to happen or whatever. Mercury retrograde is a time for you to review. That's what it's done. It's retrograded into the sign, which is giving you an opportunity to review things. And Mercury is retrograde in Aquarius, and so it's still active. And so even as we have this movement that's beginning, we're still refining it because we're in that retrograde energy. So our thoughts are still, okay, I think I know the direction that I'm going in, but let's just think about this with a little bit more, because what you're doing is just continuing to refine, and it's going to create a really specific dynamic. Movement with awareness, and action with adjustment, and forward motion with flexibility, right? So just beautiful energies that we're going to transition through. If you allow yourself to understand and work with the energies accordingly. All right. So we've got our embodiment practice. And I do these on every episode because, as I've said before, unless you do the practical steps to things, then it's just information. And I've seen through all of the times working with people with trauma, mental health, on their ascension pathway, that the biggest predictor of success is that you do the actual practical. You have to live it. You know, that's why someone like Deepak Chopra fell, because he was not embodied. He was just a farce. He was pretending. It was all performance, a big charade. So without the embodiment portion, we run the risk of doing the same thing. So on Sha'Ryah, it's all about sovereignty and about embodied truth and living the way that we should, with integrity, in an alignment. Okay, I've done my puzzles on both TikToks. We're good now. Checked in on my comments. We're all good. So our embodiment practice today is going to be some questions. And sometimes we do embodiment practices and it's actually like some somatic practices or breath work, or I might take you on a journey. Who knows? But today we're doing questions. And the questions that you're going to ask yourself is, one, what feels true right now? So we're checking in with our feelings. We're going to check in with that Venus energy. What feels true right now? And then the second one that you're going to ask yourself is, what am I trying to move forward? So what are your goals? What is it that you're moving forward? And when you write those down, are they matching? Is everything aligned there? Because if they do, then the next thing that you want to ask yourself is, okay, what is one aligned step that I can take now? Okay, and then take that one step. My voice went dry there. Woo. It's all about one step, one bite, one breath, one drink, right? It's just one thing to the next. We're always in the moment of now. There is no past and no future, right? The past is gone. It's just it's a memory now. It's in the field. It's, in the cloud. Right? And the future hasn't been created yet. It's in the imagination. It's in the it's in the infinite realm of possibility. The only thing that is now, in this moment. That's the only true reality that's happening. So, and you can do things to go back and change the past, to go to the future. You can alter these things, and you can. So, in this moment, in this now moment, what is the aligned thing for you, and what is one step that you can take forward in this moment? It's not all at once. It's not, people sometimes get afraid of starting a company because they think, well, I have to get out and I have to make millions of dollars. And they think about all the responsibilities of that. Oh, I'm going to have like all these I'm going to be responsible for all these people, be responsible for all this money. I'm going to da. And then they don't do anything. But you're not starting at 1 million. You're starting at one. Just one. All you have to do is just do it and keep doing it, right? And take one step, take one bite, take one action, and eventually it will unfold before you. You're always learning as you're going, and that's the beauty of it, right? That's the evolution process. It's like the spiral on a shell, the conch shell. I have a couple of those. Give me 1 second. I found some. They're very cool. I collect rocks. Who figured? I figured I might as well grab the whole handful that I had found in another box and bring them out. Like that, right? The spiral is up. I found a couple of those. It's just very cool. And I'll put it up there nice. Oh, there we go. Right? And this is the larger one. I'll put it up there first. Whoa. right? So you're spiraling up, right? That's the growth and evolution path, right? Hi, Drea. How are you, love? Hi, Granny Debbie. I'm not sure which one stuck around, but so what do you think about the energies of the upcoming week? I think it's going to be fantastic. I like to work with the energies of the week. So I went through and listed out all of the things that I have that I'm doing for both my nonprofit and my company. And I'm looking at all the stuff that I've created for my company and streamlining things and, looking at better entry pathways and stuff like that. So by the time Virgo hits, which I should check and see when it is that Virgo hits the scene here. Let me go to the moon, see which date that is. The moon, and expand that screen for just a minute. We're on March 29th. Let's find it. And then we'll go to the date and we'll start moving it forward. So let's go 29th. So it's in Leo today. Yeah, today's the 29th. Still in Leo tomorrow. Goes into Virgo. Goes into Virgo March 31st at I'm scrolling through the time until I get to the right time. At 11:13 a.m. my time. So whatever time yours is. So we've got a couple of days, but with that energy, you're just really looking at like what things light me up. So this right now, I'm not getting rid of anything. I'm getting clear. And then you go into the refinement phase with Virgo energy. And then, like I said, then we start looking at Libra energy closer to the end of the week. Yeah. Well, I hope that was a great celestial check-in for you and that you are prepared for the week ahead. Yeah. And if you're learning how to bring your awareness, your actions, and your direction into alignment, this is the work that we continue to do in the Temple of Light. You are welcome to join. It's completely free. I do not spam you. You get to control all your settings about how much information you want to, or how much you want to receive notifications and stuff like that. And you're free to leave at any time. There's no commitment, no nothing. It's a entirely free space. There are other membership groups, but don't worry about that. Just start with the free one and see where you go. So movement is returning, but clarity must lead it. When what you feel, what you see, and how you move begin to match, your path becomes much simpler. And where clarity deepens, direction becomes visible. Continue walking the sky with awareness, guys. Continue walking the sky with awareness. That's all we can do. Just be aware. All right. Well, that's it for me today. I'm going to hop off here. It's 7 p.m. my time. And I am going to, I have a dog and he's looking for some attention. So that's my goal. And I will see you guys Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time, where we will do embodied wisdom, and we'll see what else is going on for the collective at that point, checking in with the Ethereal Tarot. Again, check out the channels. They have some readings on there that you can check out with the Ethereal Tarot, but take whatever resonates and let go of what doesn't. Again, they're timeless, no hashtags. So when it comes across your feed, that's meant for you. All right. Have a wonderful night, guys. I love you. And we are off. Bye. Have a great night. End that one, then end that one. You get to hear the music, and then end this